Good evening, friends. It's my proud privilege, and I'm happy to be standing here and also to be sharing the days with such an eminent speaker as Raja Krishnamurthy. Thank Poonam for giving me this opportunity. It's a cliche to come up and say that when you have a magnetic personality like Raja, that such a personality wouldn't need an introduction. I mean, that's a cliche. But having said that, I think there are some nuances and nuggets from every one of these persons that we would not be able to be privy to unless somebody, preens through data and comes up with, some hidden aspects of them which you would, endorse with a nod of your head or a smile on your face. To start with, Raja Krishnamurthy has been known as Kitty. You might be aware of that. He has been producer, a director, an actor, and he has, if I'm not completely wrong, Raja, you should correct me if I'm wrong, he has acted in over 77 movies? 80 plus, my goodness. So Wikipedia was wrong. And in several languages, I do remember watching one of your Malayalam movies in which you acted as the judge in the court. Very nice. He was also known, for people of my age, you would have known him as Manager Krishnamurthy, because he was manager at the Chola Sheraton Hotel. I don't know how many people remember that. And always, with that trademark smile of his face permanently pasted, he has been a people's person, which incidentally also has been his career. He comes from the Jamnalal Institute of Business Studies. And if I'm not completely wrong, and history is not failing me, you were partnering with Mani Ratnam at Jamnalal Institute? Okay. Yeah, but that's not the reason as to why Mani invited him to act in Nayagan. His acting abilities are undisputed. His character role portrayal is something which one has to, see to enjoy and endorse that this is easily one of those actors I would like to spend my 2 hours with. The other aspects of Raja is primarily that, he is into leadership training. He's a coach. Focuses on human resource development to enable both for-profit and not-for-profit organizations increase their ability to perform better, to engage with the community or with the clients, depending on which side of the table you're standing, in a more engaged way, in an appropriate way, which brings happiness on both sides of the aisle. He's also into self-awareness. Probably a little less known aspect of him is that he is into self-awareness, self-improvement, self-consciousness as a way and a vehicle to be, let's say, evolving into a better personality. So that's an aspect of him which is probably lesser known, but he is extremely good in that. I wouldn't stand in the way of, you listening to him and getting back home more informed and happier. Thank you.
Vanakkam. Thank you so much, sir. Being on a stage is something that I'm very, 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 very familiar with. But hearing an introduction of this quality, this tenor, and this ease, I would say that's exceptional, and I've put my hand together for this beautiful way. I became a fan of his in this capability to introduce so well. It's a combination of course, your natural gift of voice, the natural ease of flow without having to refer to anything, and to be able to put together details, data, and interesting information about the person, all in a flow. I appreciate this really, sir. Wonderful, once again, from the bottom of my heart. I also want to caution you about the 45-minute thing, because the moment he said 45 minutes, I don't know how many hearts said, oh my God, We are used to this 20-minute of quickly, doing things and getting done with it, and here is a guy who says. The truth is, I'm not used to speaking for less than 90 minutes, so let it be a little more clear. Okay. Cut it off. We're going to have a reflective conversation. That's it. As simple as that. an easy, reflective conversation. In the process, I'm hoping that there'll be some triggers that will, kind of happen within us to look at life, look at our own life, look at humanity together a little differently. So sometimes a few activities or, kind of responses help me to get into this subject. Okay, so we'll do that. Very simple. Now I'm going to begin with a very, very simple question. It's so simple that you won't need time to respond. So I want you to respond within 1 or 2 seconds, at least 3, 4 responses. And the question is very simple, straight and simple. What do you see in front of you? Quick. Okay. Okay. Lot of things. Okay.
Two bald men.
Okay. Yeah? Interesting time. Thank you. I really appreciate quite a lot of responses. Sometimes even to get 2 responses becomes difficult because they want to think through and find out a very intelligent answer. It's very simple and straight. Thank you so much. That's nice. So I'll park it. We'll put it out there. Okay. The second one is actually an easier question because for so many things, from Aadhaar card to passport and all that, you need to fill in this particular column. You must have filled up this particular column for school admission, college admission. Finally, I think when you go to the funeral, when you are taken to the funeral also, I think they record it somewhere. And I'm going to be asking this question, and I want the answer for much faster than the earlier question. Okay, and the question is, anyone can answer. I want 3, 4 responses. When were you born? 1973. Okay. Yeah, okay. Anybody from this side? Very good. Thank you. Again, a lot of quick responses. Excellent. Very nice. So second one, we'll also park it out there. We'll go to the third one. And the third one is very, actually simpler because we are all, I can see most of us are all professionals, either in looks like high positions in corporate organizations, businesses, enterprises, and all that. You're all looking very smart and good, okay? So that's why I'm making that assumption. And I know quite a few of them personally so very well. My Babu Krishnamurthy, my very, very dear Shanta, all of them. Okay, so this question is very simple because if you have been in business and all, you'll understand this very easily. See, with our ability to, kind of comprehend, ability to pick up meaning, our mind has got connected to responding emotionally to certain words. Okay, that's the beauty about language. That's also the nature of psychology. For example, when I say celebration, do you feel positive or negative? Right? If I say death or funeral, you feel positive or negative? Slightly negative, right? Similarly. Accident, you feel negative. Victory, you feel positive. Similarly, Babu is very much there. So, income, you feel positive or negative? Okay, income in comparison to that expenditure. Profit, you feel good? I can see that bubbling energy on your face. Yeah. Losses, of course. Kya Poonam? Yes. Negative. So these are very logical things. Similarly, asset, positive or negative? And liabilities. So it's very logical, you got profit and, profit goes into assets and then you have got losses goes into liabilities. And, you make this sense, isn't it? All of us make this sense. Very good. So you answered 3 questions, okay? And I think these 3 questions, responses to these 3 questions in some way represents the way we cognize things in life. The way that we look at life, the lenses through which we look at life. Look at the first one. I asked you a question, very simple, and all of you answered. But the truth is, even for you to be able to see me, this dice, or these 4 people, you have to see empty space before you see me. None of us mentioned about I see space. Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah, it didn't come. So rare, so we'll put our hands together. So this is the first interesting thing. It's so obviously in front of me, but for space in front of us, we cannot see anything because everything will be stuck. Between my eyes and the other thing, unless there is space, there is no way that I can see anything. So I'm first seeing space and then I'm seeing through space. This is the reality of sight altogether. But it never strikes our mind. And therefore, this I call as a particular effect, and I call this as the Maya effect, the illusion effect. It's there, but I don't see it. Or if it's not there, but I see it. This is the illusion effect. Look at the second one, which was also very simple. When were you born? And when were you born is a normal question. We have heard that so many times in our life. Sure. But it's also subject to interpretation because my intent of asking you, when were you born, can be received as, when was I created? But you chose to answer the question, interpreting it as, when did I get delivered in this world? My question could have been, when were you created? But your assumption was, I'm asking you, when did you get delivered? Because the fact of the matter is, for 10 months before I was delivered into this world, the date that you all announced, you were already there in the mother's womb, and you were alive, which means you were already born. All right? And then somebody may say, but the fact of the matter is, before I was part of my mother's womb, I must have been born in some other form in my father and my mother, which I'm saying is also true. And then somebody says, before I became that part of the father and mother, I must have been part of the energy in their body. Before that, I must have been part of the food that they consume. Before that, I must have been part of the katrika, vendaka, whatever that they ate. Before that, must have been part of that chedi or that plant where I was grown. Before that, I must have been part of that earth on which it grew, and the ether, and the air, and the water, and the light, all those Panchabhutas which supplemented the possibility of that growth. Before I became the Panchabhuta, I might have been the Mula Karana, the original cause of creation. So, I'm never born on a particular date. I might have been delivered on a particular date. So this comprehension and responses in life is the second one, and I call this as you can call this as conditional response, but there's a better terminology for that. And Dr. Khatri is not there, so I can misuse some of the terminologies. By the way, he's my ophthalmologist, and he's a member of your club. This I call as the cataract view of life. There is a filter through which we look at life and then respond to. But we have become comfortable with that, just like it happens with cataract. And look at the third response. Again, that's very fascinating, very interesting. And Babu Krishnamurthy will hold the validity for that. All of us talked about our meaning-making of positive emotion and negative emotions. All of us talked about profits, we feel good. Losses, we feel bad. Assets, we feel good. Liabilities, we feel bad. And we also quickly nodded the head when Raja said, so assets fall into the, profits fall into the asset side and losses fall into the liability side. He'll make sure that all of us fail in the CA exam. Any balance sheet, anywhere in the world, of any company, of any business, assets fall, profits fall under the liability side, losses fall under the asset side. If you figure out this one phenomena alone, we will understand life much better. One single tattvam that we need to understand. Anywhere in the world, in any balance sheet of any kind, losses fall under the asset side. Am I right, Babu? And profits fall under liability side. Bas ek cheez, this one simple thing, if we figure out in life, I think we'll know the difference between the sense of I am in life versus being caught up in identities of life. So the topic begins now. Thanks for responding to all the three interesting kind of questions. Even as of today morning when I was having a conference call, with a client for whom I'm doing a leadership talk on 20th of this month. They were describing to me the objective of inviting me and the ask for that particular session. And they said, we are a combination of, traditional long-term employees who would be probably about 20% of the organization. And if you look at the last 3 years, a huge amount of people between the ages of 22 and 25, and they constitute 80% of the organization. And we find something completely very, very different about this new gen population. They talked about the fact that even though they are given very good salary, they are given 3 months of training and good orientation, there is a career pathway and plan for them, welfare facilities of the best order, freedom. They said for 500 rupees and 1,000 rupees, they just chuck their job and change their job. You can't even predict somebody who looks like very, very loyal and dedicated till yesterday for no apparent reason. And what is the reason? I'm getting a better pay. How much better pay? Nominal kind of things. He says, what's happening? So where is this impatience that's coming up in these people? How do we deal with this? So this was a question. And I was smiling inside. Not very different from some of the questions that parents bring to me. And that is this. Enna pandradhane theriyala. That is the opening statement. How do we really control our children? Not even control. Control is a bad word with children. How do we deal with our children? Because they are so preoccupied, they are so intolerant, and so on, kind of so and so kind of descriptions. Again, you hear this from the parents. What's happening is the real question. I think we are into a lifetime where impatience, insufficiency, and intolerance have become such a part of life. Impatience, insufficiency, and intolerance has become such a part of our life. And if you ask me, and when I reflect a little more deeply, I feel that this is something that Dharman, the Panchapandavas, Dharma, he answered very well in Yaksha Praksham, in that particular phase, finally, as the Pandavas are leaving the world, there is this Yakshan who's asking 100+ questions to Dharmarajan, and he's answering. And there is one beautiful question related to what is the definition of Kali Yuga. And he says, when Dharma will look like Adharmam, and Adharmam will look like Dharmam, and that would be the nature of Kali. So I got very fascinated with this word dharmam. I did some deep dive and research on that. The best of research on the word dharma has been done by Germans. You can do a Google search and you can go deeper into that. Amazing. And of course the word dharma comes from the Sanskrit origin dhariti iti dharma, one that holds. But the deeper research is even more beautiful because they have so well correlated the philosophical aspect with the scientific aspect. Very, very fundamental things about nuclear physics and the evolution of creation and things like that. And you'll be very pleasantly surprised to know the definition of dharma, which is fascinating, which also agrees completely with the philosophy part. Dharma is that principle of holistic harmony, which brings the opposite realities of existence together in balance and equity. That principle of holistic harmony, keeping opposite realities of creation and existence together in harmony and in balance, this is dharma, balance and equity. What does this really indicate? I think the foundational thing is it indicates that for anything which has got to be part of existence and creation, because the moment we use the word existence and creation, we are talking about something that can be identified. So let's be careful about this definition, existence and creation. The foundation of existence and creation is the principle of duality, period. The foundation principle of existence and creation is the principle of duality. We don't need to break our head too much. Scientifically, the foundation is energy and matter, okay? And then rest of the things. But energy and matter, they originate from a Mula Karana or the original cause, which now science calls as the God's principle. It's there, but you cannot discover it. And we got 3 people who got Nobel Prize for dealing with the God's principle recently. Very fascinating. It's there, but you cannot identify it. That's the description. Why am I talking about it? Because this is not a principle that we need to really fight hard and work hard to discover. Duality principle. All of us right now, this moment, we breathe in, we breathe out. In, out. Duality principle. Anybody here who says, I love to breathe in, but I hate to breathe out? After 10 minutes, we'll carry you, okay? If that happens. Hopefully nobody tries those funny things. Duality principle. For every male species created in existence, there has got to be a female species, including stones. Kallalo kuda aan kallu undu, pen kallu undu. Sirpa kalanjaralta kettingna solluvaanga. Sculptures will tell you. Even in stone, there is a male stone and a female stone. That's very fascinating. The day breaks out, sun comes in, sun sets. The darkness comes in. Duality principle. We work in the morning, we sleep in the night. Not just human beings, every creature. The cat, the kitten in my garden, the crows on the trees, they awake in the morning, they sleep in the night. Duality principle. The whole construct of evolution, of existence, is based on the duality principle. But what is the meaning that we need to take out of that? Therefore, duality principle deals with the world of form, and therefore there is formation and transformation, and that is this whole preoccupation that the human being with the 3 kinds of representation of form. The first one of form, which gives us all our knowledge, which is information, and all of us are naturally programmed to be active, and therefore the second kind of form, which is perform, which is do and fulfill expectations, and the third one, which is continuous process of growth and evolution, and therefore transform, which means I move from the original form to a next level of form. Inform, perform, transform is the trip of our life. Become knowledgeable. We hate when somebody says, "Enna ashada irukke." We can't stand it. To a 2-year-old kid, we'll say, no, arive porla. To a 2-year-old. No, we have such a strong association about the need to be knowledgeable. Samate poradu. Dismiss the child. Knowledge-oriented. Information. Inform, perform, transform. Why am I talking about it? So our preoccupation for the human being, 99%, has become one part of this duality, which is the world of form reality, which I would broadly call as the objective reality. We are all conditioned, and that is the reason why we had those 3 kind of, if I can call it the vision blocks, cognition blocks. When we talked about the first one, which was illusion, the second one, which was cataract, the third one, which was conditional, the meaning-making part of it. Objective reality, whereas we completely forget or detach from this other side, which is subjective, to the point where we don't even know most of the time as to what is this subjective reality. But if you know what is this objective reality and what is the damage that it does to us, I'm sure we'll recognize the subjective reality. Let me first deal with the objective reality, which is very easy, very simple. So when you look at the objective reality, everything which is in the world of form, we have a name and form, Nama Rupa Jagat as they call it. We have a name and form through which we kind of create association, identification, meaning making, all right? And that's very fundamental. So we first create data, from data becomes information, from information's application we understand knowledge, from knowledge we evolve into wisdom. This is our construct of intelligence, how we become intelligent. In Tamil, if you got to really use the same terminology, the identification, the data part is Teridal, leading to Puridal, leading to Aridal, leading to Unardal. The 4 level of structures of becoming intelligent. It's there. Very nice. But what does this preoccupation, over-engagement, over-indulgence with the objective reality, what does this really lead to? It makes us victim of 3 phenomena, 3 processes: the evaluation process, the comparison process, and the competition process. The reason is objective reality is governed by 3 fundamentals: time, quantity, and quality. Very simple. That's what's working in our mind 24 hours a day. When he said 45 minutes he will talk, Bagirna udla, ayyo my God, that means 8:15 I cannot reach home. That means I cannot see Netflix. What time will I have dinner? Already time calculation. Adu not normal dinner. Swiggy, they already ordered for that Punjabi food today. Will it be nice or will he deliver it? Our preoccupation with time, quantity, and quality is continuous. We are programmed with that. Old woman at home tells her young daughter is 45 years old. Young doctor has got another daughter who is 22 years old. So old woman tells this one, ஆமாம் போரும் படித்தது கிழிச்சது எல்லாம் கிழிச்சிட்டா போரும் பொண்ணு காலாகாலத்தில் ஒரு கல்யாணம் பண்ணி டைம் ஒரு நல்ல ஒரு குடும்பமாக பார்த்து குவாலிட்டி நன்னா சம்பாதிக்கிற யாருக்காவது நல்லா கட்டி வைக்க சொல்லு குவான்டிட்டி. Every damn thing in our life will be governed by these 3 principles. காலையில் கரெக்டாக ஒரு 5 மணிக்கு எழுந்து யோகா கிகாலாம் பண்ணி ஃபிட்டாக ஒரு 6:30க்கு நல்ல சுட ஒரு டிகாக்ஷன் காஃபி சாப்பிட்டு வயிறு நிறையிற மாதிரி திருப்தியாக ஓவர் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸும் கூடாது. கரெக்டாக ஒரு நல்ல பிரேக்ஃபாஸ்ட் சாப்பிட்டுட்டோம்னா ஆஹா திருப்தி. டைம், quantity, quality. Every damn thing. We have become beautifully so, if I can use the term, melted, drowned, integrated whatever with objective reality. Nothing wrong about it per se that we are God. But the foundations of those 3 are processes of 3 kinds. Number 1, evaluation. Yedai bodum tanmai. Second one, comparison. Oppidum tanmai. And third one, competition, poti manapanmai. And of course, we have geared ourselves so wonderfully well in this 21st century. 1.5-year-old kid has to go to pre-nursery, selection process. Ta-dan. 1.5-year-old kid, 2-year-old kid, selection process, evaluation. Can you imagine? And then of course, comparison and competition, my God. Every second child has got to be participating in Star Singer, kind of program or something of that kind, or some dance program. Every mother is more busy in taking children to the tuition classes and then to football, ground, and then to swimming classes and then to this one, and financially taking herself to the, kind of counselor, so that there is some advice of how to bring up your child better. Enna theriyala, my God. Objective reality, evaluation, first part. And obviously comparison. And the moment you're into that comparison trap, you know where it takes you. And answer is nowhere. I had this beautiful board in my friend Hari's office. Hari was the head of Satyam, Info Services, HR. He had a beautiful board. And the board said, if you believe that life is a rat race, even at the end of winning it, you still feel like a rat. So what's the big deal? If you believe that life is a rat race, even at the end of winning it, you still feel like a rat. What's the big deal? We have deluded ourselves so well to believe that rat race is the most enjoyable. But that's a very superficial belief. That's why the inner, deeper discontent is so disturbing. So it's not surprising when organizational leaders ask this question, so what's happening to new employees? Why are they impatient? It's not very surprising to hear parents saying, we are very concerned with our children. Why are they not able to focus? Why are they not, responding to us like before? The fact is, you have also changed now. You don't recognize that. That's the problem. They're only kind of representing, mirroring the same kind of thing. Those are happening to you. So where are we in this? So the construct of idea of progress, after all, as a human being, we are so beautifully programmed to have a deeper sense of survival, a deeper sense of maintenance and growth. We want continuous growth. No question. If I'm used to walking, I would prefer a cycle. If I have a cycle, I prefer a moped. If I have a moped, I would prefer a scooter. If I have a scooter, the Enfield Bullet. If I have a bullet, of course, a four-wheeler is always better. One four-wheeler, can I have two? One for me, one for my wife. I got three, kind of cars, limousines, and Benz, all of that together. இதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணுமே இல்லை. இப்பெல்லாம் ஒவ்வொருத்தருக்கும் private plane இருக்கு. Nothing wrong. But the whole idea in terms of progress is what? From a time perspective, the idea of progress is faster than before, speedier than before. Nothing wrong. Let's park it out there. From the idea of quantity, the three elements are time, quantity, and quality. From the idea of quantity, space, larger, bigger. Of course, if you see Tamil posters and all, big is beautiful, you automatically know that, okay? The bigger the sizes, the better those sizes are. So, if I'm in one bedroom, obviously two bedroom is always better. Two bedroom means three bedroom is better. Hirnani is even much better, okay? If I already have, Hirnani flat, then, villa is always better. One villa, two villas, one in the city, one outskirts and all that. And one in Kodaikanal always makes it even better. Nothing wrong. Bigger, the better. And quality, of course, quality has got to be better than before. It begins with better than before. And then, is it the best in class? Then what happens? Is it different from others? Yeah, then what happens? Is it really making me stand off as an identity and a brand? Can I hold ground by myself? Am I influencer? The trip of exclusivity? So we may say, hey, what's wrong? Nothing wrong per se when you want to be faster. Nothing wrong per se when you want to have more. Nothing wrong per se when you want to have higher quality. Nothing wrong. But when your objective reality is not paired with the duality of subjective reality, which is based on sensitivity, engagement, and deep humanness. If it is not strongly paired with this aspect, sensitivity, deep empathy, and human connectedness, the same three things become different. Speed becomes haste, growth becomes greed, and exclusivity becomes arrogance. Not just individual levels, societal levels, community levels, state levels, governments levels, nation levels. Look at the US today and the USSR today. You want to have better examples than that? My ego boost can make me decide as to what kind of a war in which part of the world should be happening. The fact that that feeds my 33% GDP of arms and armaments, that's a different story. I'll teach the whole world about how to live democracy and how to take care of and be sensitive people. Having destroyed more than 6 million Red Indians within my own kind of land and territory, I can educate the whole world. I can be a coaching class for them. Nonsense, absolute. Haste, greed, and arrogance have become the hallmark of this suffering, or let's say, if I can say, the limitations of objective reality. My dear friends, it's time for all of us to move from this. Why does this happen? It's because we are in this pursuit of objective reality very strongly, very, very strongly tied down to 5 or 6, what I call as the P factors. The first P factor is the past. First P factor. I call them P factors because they all begin with this letter P. The first P factor that I talk about is the past. Nothing wrong about past, but Tamil is such a beautiful philosophical language. I always use Tamil so as to bring some concepts to clarity. And the first one, why I talk about the past is, let me just quote J. Krishanamoorth and then I will come to that description of the word past. J.K. said, thought is equal to death. And then the audience got a kind of a shake-up. J.K. very nicely, sweetly said, thought is equal to death. in his own kind of tonalities. So what the hell does it mean? All that he meant was something that the Tamil language very simply tells us. More than any other language, Tamil has this fantastic capacity to represent a life philosophy in a single word. So if you really look at the terminology associated with time scales, the past, present and future, Tamil says past is iranda kalam, dead. And you cannot ever have a thought without reference to something that you know already, which means your thought is a product of your past. Therefore, J.K. said, thought is equal to death. Such a beautiful kind of connecting point. So his question was, can you be alive now without thoughts, without your past? Similarly, very beautiful, we talked about the correlation between language and meaning making, right? Correct, Ingla? Again, I'll ask a simple question. You love Shanta, Tamil language, I know that, right? Tamil language, for example, ediri, what does it mean? Ediri, quickly? Right? Enemy, right? Okay, positive or negative? Normally negative, right? Edirpu, opposition? Positive or negative? Isn't it? Right? Edirali, opponent. Positive or negative? Correct? Edirgalam? See the catch? See the catch? Amazing language. Only Buddha answered this question so beautifully. Tamil is a phenomenally philosophical language. எதிர்காலம் என்பது உனக்கு எதிர்பார்ப்புகளை உருவாக்கும் அந்த காலம். Future is that which sows the seeds of expectations in you. And Gautam Buddha had only 4 things to teach. Samsaram iti dukkham. First statement. Samsaram na dukkham. And the cause of the dukkham is expectations. எதிர்பார்ப்புகளே அந்த வேதனையின் அடிப்படை. Then the next 2 are easier. He said, but expectations can be overcome. You can overcome dukkham. And finally he said, I have overcome that. And therefore I am speaking about it. 4 teachings of Buddha. Tamil as a language in one word tells you the beauty of philosophy. So, if my past is dead and my future is a poratam in terms of my preoccupation, what am I left with? Here and now. So here and now, living in the present is not just a philosophical statement that can be uttered very stylishly from podiums and all. It's an opportunity for every one of us to be completely engaged. And to be completely engaged, we must understand even the meaning of the word engagement, sir. The corporate organizations in the last 1 decade have made a big fashion of this word engagement. Employee engagement, they talk about. And then when you really go to find out what is employee engagement, that particular day, during those 1 hour or whatever, balloons will be there, cakes will be there, samosas extra will be there. Nobody will ask you how many cokes you had and all that. Everybody will clap a lot of times and all that. And then HR department will feel very proud. We had employee engagement today. Bullshit. Engagement is a very beautiful terminology. Why do we call the coming together of a male and female or a female and male before marriage as engagement? That's the meaning of the word engagement. That is the meaning of the word engagement. And to know the way of the meaning of the word engagement, you need to know what is the opposite of engagement. The opposite of engagement is entrapment. And why do we say entrapment? That's what we'll take up first, and then we'll look at engagement, and with that we'll come to the closure of this talk. So we talked about identities in terms of the objective reality, because anything which we call as an objective reality simply has an means of identifying, right? For example, let me ask you, all of you can see the knife in my hand here? You can all see the knife in my hand? You can see, no? Huh? Why? Yeah?
I know, you are hiding it.
Okay, so what do you see in my hand? Okay, all right. And how do you know that it's a bottle? Obviously, objective reality, with my eyes I see. It has got a form, which is an objective reality. When I associate that form and make a meaning, which I'm used to of that, I give it a label, Nama Rupa Jagat. Rupa, Nama, name I give, therefore it's a bottle. Therefore the identity that it is a bottle. Now you understand the phenomena of identification? So the piece that we talked about is my past is a basis for my identity. My personality is a basis for my identity. My position is a basis for my identity. My possession is a basis for my identity. My perfection is a basis of my identity. My power is a base for my identity. With all these things, we create our identities just like this identity. All of us. That's why we carry identity cards when we walk into an organization. That's why we exchange identity cards when we come to Rotary meetings saying that this is my visiting card. Nothing wrong. Don't feel too threatened about these things. They're fine. They're functionally pretty okay. But then what happens is exactly, an identity also indicates that what does this really represent? This is a container of water. And that is a role that it plays. Are we clear together? So every identity is therefore associated with a role. And that's very important. And you have the other side also absolutely valid. Every role is also an identity. Now you need to again come to Tamil to understand the philosophy part of it. ஆக ஒவ்வொரு பாத்திரமும் ஒரு அடையாளம். ஒவ்வொரு பாத்திரமும் ஒரு அடையாளம். Every role is an identity. Now comes the most beautiful thing about it. FNP, somebody is there? தம்பி ஒரு 2 லிட்டர் தண்ணி ஒரு பக்கெட்டில் எடுத்துகிட்டு வாங்க, எனக்கு இந்த பாட்டிலுக்குள்ளே ஊற்றணும். ஓகே, ஒரு நிமிஷம் வெயிட் பண்ணுங்க, எப்போ கொண்டு வரேன்னு நான் சொல்கிறேன். I'm going to pour 2 liters of water into this bottle. You think that will be okay? Is that okay? No. Why? Mess this place around. Beautiful. And why would that happen, sir? I would mess this place around. You are absolutely right. And why would that happen? The capacity of the container is smaller. Put your hands together for this great discovery. Every identity is a limited factor. Every damn identity is a limited factor. It can only take that much in. There is only one factor which is unlimited. And that's the true you. Until we discover the true who am I, my preoccupation with every objective reality-based identity is a limited understanding. அடையாளங்களின் சின்னமாக நான் இருக்கும் வரை அளப்பரியா நான் என்ற உண்மையை உணர்வது இயலாத ஒரு விஷயம். I spoke in Tamil because that's what comes to me naturally. As long as I'm preoccupied with my trip of objective reality, as long as I'm preoccupied with my preoccupation with identities, as long as I'm caught up with the world of evaluation, comparison, and competition, there is no way for me to escape from suffering the limitations that come along, which is impatience, insufficiency, and intolerance. I may do it very sophisticatedly, I may do it very crudely, but I will continue to suffer the same. And there is only one way out of that, which, if I go back to the principle of creation, the principle of duality, gives me that relief. I'm not saying dismiss this objective reality, because all of us, 95% of us, is constructed of this objective reality. I'm saying, my dear friends, please, 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 recognize. Our cognition we identified had the limitation of 3 kinds. One was Maya, the other was conditioning, the third was cataract. Let's do a recognition, which is, even as I'm engaged in this world of transactions, even as I'm engaged in this world of objective reality, of forms, even as I'm engaged in this beautiful trip of inform, perform, and transform continuously, I will have my roots very strongly embedded in that unlimitedness of myself, which was never born, which was always there, which can never be compared because you and I are the same. There is nothing different about you and me. Our forms are different, incidentally. And therefore the limitations of the form that you choose and I choose, or a crow chooses, or a cat chooses, they will be, or not even chooses, would be different. So what the big deal? But in essence, in terms of being that causative factor, in terms of being part of that Mula Karanam, in terms of being part of that God particle, in terms of being part of that Paramatman, in terms of being that Atma that I am, you and I, we are not at all different from each other. Incidentally, we'll play the game of objective reality, we'll play the game of life. விளையாடுவதும் வினையாற்றுவதும் ஒரே கண்ணோட்டத்தில் இருந்தால் வாழ்க்கை எவ்வளவு புனிதமானது, எவ்வளவு இன்பமானது. If I can have the same perspective of playing life, that's why you called Krishna's attitude towards life as Leela. Why? By doing what he was doing, he was also saying something. Learn to treat life like a game. Play the game of life. Enjoy. Why did they say that the cosmic dance, Nataraja Tandava, represents the whole cosmic creation? Amazing. I'm not saying this. Nuclear physicist, Fritjof Capra, the Tower of Physics, he talks about this. He says the best meaningful correlation that he can find to the whole scientific phenomena, and he's a nuclear physicist, he says it's the dancing Nataraja of Chidambaram and his dynamic movement. He says there is nothing else for me to correlate and say that this is evidential about that phenomena. Our ability, my dear friends, to let go our preoccupation only with the objective reality, to let go of our preoccupation with evaluation, comparison, and competition, and get into engagement. And I left you somewhere with this question of what does engagement really mean? And asked that question, what is engagement between these two people, a male and female who come together before marriage? Why do we call it engagement? Very simple. All objective realities, therefore, are definite and they are bounded. When you take away those boundaries, take away those conditions, and allow freedom for that male and female to come together, and there is no more a boundary between them, then you call it engagement. Engagement is a process of integration, process of alignment, a process of togetherness. If I know that I don't have to suffer comparison all the time, then I can also celebrate togetherness with you, even as I'm compelled to be comparing for some reasons. If I can be integrated together with you, even when I have to do evaluation, if I got to have the same kind of an empathy towards you, even if I got to compete with you for a period of time, if I know that performance, vinayatruvadam, can be as playful, vilayattai pola, if I can truly internalize this duality of life, then I will know how to simultaneously be not just the identity with my visiting card and with my entry card, I would also know how to be I am. And to this I am, philosophy says, recognize that aham brahmasmi. It does not mean that I'm only the God. I'm also God particle. And in that being a God particle, there is no differentiation between you and me. There is no differentiation amongst any one of us. You and I are the same. And so also any product of creation. I will know that to steer through life, I will have the same attitude. And this attitude is not very difficult. The best of achievers in life have this attitude. Sure, Ronaldo, he lost a particular stage of the World Cup. Neymar, he lost at the quarterfinal stage. So what does a game really teach us? Do we really understand game? A game is time-bound, objective reality, factor number one. The game is played for 90 minutes. After that, another 15 minutes, another 15 minutes. Then, of course, it has got to stop with 5 kicks from both the sides offered, time-bound. It has to be played within a space, a ground, with certain number of people, quantity. And you've got to really have skills and quality. Time, quantity, quality. And there is a result at the end of it. So what does he do, Neymar, after he loses quarterfinals? What does he do, Ronaldo, after being kept out of a very crucial match? Do they go hang up their boots, sit and sob and cry and say, what disaster of my life? Next morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock, up there, back to After brushing my teeth and getting ready, into my jersey with my shoes, out into the ground, start my practice all over again. Play the game of life. Even if we have the most scientific outlook of life, nothing stops us from recognizing this beautiful reality that life is a beautiful ongoing journey and it is eternal and continuous. And that truth about us, that we are God particle, that I am Atman, it can be taught to us from a philosophical point of view, it can be taught to us from a modern point of view, it can be taught to us from a scientific point of view, but teaching from or learning from any point of view is not important. Recognition is important. The feel that I can look into the eyes of any other human being and feel equal, the same, not judgmental, not evaluative. Have that warmth, that genuine feeling of melting affection and love, saying, hey, one more human being out there. Even for a passing moment, we are there. Veedu serndom. My dear friends, sure, identities are required, but let's also learn to simultaneously, beautifully, gently hold the other eternal truth, I am, is inseparable, incomparable. When you say Sat, which means the truth, and what is truth? One which does not get destroyed by time. In objective reality, limitation of time. In the subjective reality, beyond times. Chit, intelligence, universal consciousness, the cosmic intelligence which is the source of this creation, all pervasive all over this place. Imagine this first exercise of saying, what do you see in front of me? Imagine this space, unlimited spaces full of cosmic intelligence. How valuable, how precious is this empty space? Amazing space. And I'm so gifted to be in touch with it all the time and to be part of that all the time. And that is also existing within me. Second beautiful thing. So, Sat, Chit. And if I'm going to be all pervasive, all over the place, should I ever compare about the volume and sizes and quantity? For God's sake. And quality, comparison, high, low, big, small, better, worse. What are you talking about? Anandam. What is Anandam? Blissfulness. Why blissfulness? Because that state of being fulfilled really says that there is nothing else that is required to make it complete. Korai undrumillai. Nirai nilai. Kalattai kadanda unmai, alapariya unmai, korai illa unmai. Mudu niraivu in Tamil. Sat Chit Anandam. We don't need great scientific thinking on logical, intellectual battles to come to terms with that. I think we need to have desire, responsibility, and some effort to closely look at our own life and ask this question, what am I doing with my life? Can I pause? Can I recognize? Can I discover this immensity within me that I am, yes, identities, but I am also beyond identities. I am, ... I can leave it as an eternal fill-in-the-blanks requirement. Why? It can never be filled in the first place. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience. Happy sharing these thoughts with you. And we are open for maybe 5 minutes for question and answers. Any responses, any kind of statement?
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
You can sit and...
I'm okay. I like if there is anything. Any responses. They need not necessarily be questions. It can be your reflections also.
I just want to say in the beginning that it's been one of the outstanding speeches we have had.
Yeah.
Were you alluding to post-marriage being entrapment with engagement as pre-marriage?
You'll have to repeat that again.
Post-marriage, are you alluding to entrapment whilst pre-marriage is engagement?
Yeah, it's both. I think it's both a fun question, and but it's a very beautiful question. I want to tell you that it's a very beautiful, relevant question. Okay, how much does the sense of duty take over And therefore the sense of compulsion takeover, role-taking post-marriage, is something that every one of us sitting around here and who is married must be looking at, examining or reflecting or experiencing or hating, whatever. Okay? Right? And the answer is, right you are. Because if I am caught up only with the identity part of it, I have no other choice. I'll have to go through that. But if I know that I can carry the identity, but I can be also myself. And I think that's where the challenge comes. Because how can you be... See, objective reality demands something very interesting. It demands structure, system, process, regulations. Objective reality demands structure, system, process, regulation. Or in Tamil, it is a phenomena of various than. Ippadittan, idanaldan, ivarodudan, inda muriyildan, inda nerathildan. Correct? I can smile at my wife in the morning. Can I smile at neighbor's wife in the morning? Enna angena paathu sirikka vendi irukudhu? Or you smile at your maid servant, Gaya? I'm just, loosely kind of letting something out. But you understand what I'm talking about, right? Ippadittan. Namma kolandagal mela illada interest na pakkathu vittu kolanda mela varudhu. No, all kinds of things it can be. Tan. I'm saying identity would be conditional. There is no escape from that. But on the other hand, I'm saying that you can have the identity because you recognize that the one part of the duality, but you also have the maturity and the insight and the deeper understanding of life to know that, yes, in having to play my role, within those compulsions of the role, I will be loyal, completely committed to the Tan part of it. Anal, தான் யார் என்ற அந்த உண்மையையும் நான் உணர்ந்து கொண்டே வாழ்வேன் அப்படிங்கிற அந்த தெளிவு இருந்துச்சுன்னு வச்சுங்க. Then it becomes beautiful. தன்னை அறிந்த அந்த உணர்வும் தான் என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய அத்தனை கட்டளைகளும், structure and system, Tamil, the equivalent term for that is structure and system. Structure is called கட்டமைப்பு, கட்டுமானம். And along with that, கட்டமைப்பு, கட்டுமானம், கட்டளை, கட்டுப்பாடு, all those words are all from the original word kattu. And kattu means binding. Look at the beauty, philosophy of Tamil language. Kattu means you are tied down, you have no freedom. Now you got it, boss. Yes, sir.
In a very interesting experiment John Carlham did with mouse.
Yeah?
Mouse utopia, as he called it.
Okay.
He created an experiment and he repeated it 25 times.
Yeah.
In 1968.
Okay.
Everything provided for mouse.
Right.
And it failed. And it destroyed. The society died. 25 times.
Right.
All that they discovered was that it failed to provide for goats.
Okay.
It provided everything else.
I see.
And so monks are very much like humans. So if you don't have a role, we are likely to go.
Which is the interesting thing, because for existence and creation to continue, the duality principle must exist. The form, and therefore form is based on structure systems. It has got to be, with the form, you got to also have the other one, which is the non-form. The beauty about us is that we are so very good with the structure system process part of it. For example, I'm saying, your religion, your background, your gulam, your gotram, everything will come from the past. And for a lot of us, that will create the structure system definitions to begin with. I'm saying there's nothing wrong about it, but I'm saying that even as I use that, when I use that in the journey, let me know that I'm not the vehicle of the journey alone, okay? I'm not the vehicle of the journey alone. By the way, I'm also the very pathway. I'm also the destination. I'm also the holistic experience of the journey itself. I think that's the beauty about it. Good example. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Yes,
System process la eppadi involve aayirukku?
I honestly wouldn't know the answer. But if you look at okay, there is one answer that I'm picking up. So in the process of creation, or in the evolution of creation, and this is something from Velukudi's one of his lectures. He says, what is the difference between the karma of the creator, the Paramatman, What is the difference between the doing of the Creator and the doing of a normal human being like us? Such a beautiful answer he puts together. And he says, so Vedanta says, you are doing your karma for karana nimittam. He does it for karuna nimittam. When you do things for karana nimittam, sense of purpose, therefore, inform, perform, transform. In perform, why do you perform? Fulfill expectations. In passing, I just talked about it. So when your whole karana nimittam is fulfill expectation trip, okay, then you are of one kind. What was his creation? Was joy. In fact, there is a book, I forget the title of the book, which talks, it's a scientific book, it talks about the origin of creation, what it could be. It says what it could be. He says the immensity which was unformed and which was in its latent kind of a stage, which was so intelligent, for a split brief of a moment thought, can I know my immensity? And creation started. It describes about the beginning of creation. The uncreated potential, as it was languishing and happily kind of reveling in itself, had the first thought, and the thought led to creation. It's a kind of description. So, therefore, when we talk about structures, there is no way you can avoid structure system, because in the world of forms, you require structures and systems. So, therefore, it becomes, why does it become an interesting play, game? Because it is structured, because it is objective, you'll have the limitation of time, quantity and quality. And then you'll have this original thing within you, which is unlimited, which is beyond times, which is completely fulfilled. So when this immensity and the limitation, both of them had to blend together, you got a beauty of something that you can experience and you can enjoy. This opposite being held together. So can you bring that point of view of enjoying life every moment? Then that answers. I know structures are necessary, but I'm not a victim and a slave of structures. Can I be free within structures? Can I be respectful about structures and live yet beyond with my freedom? Great questions. We can find answers. I can personally assure you that I feel that I have lived my life that way. People ask me this question. I'm not saying that I'm the best example, or I'm not saying that therefore follow me, none of that crap. Okay, please, don't even pick it up that way. There was a stage of my life where I thought that, to me, everything was time-bound. When I was in school, at the 6th standard, I said I should be a school pupil leader. I became one. When I was in my 10th standard, I said when I go to the college, I must be the college union general secretary. I became one. In a Marathi Shiv Sena college, I'm a Bombayite by birth and upbringing. In Danukar College in Vileparle, I was a union general secretary when I was in junior BCom. It was something I had thought in my 10th standard. I thought I should become a personal manager at the age of 25. Exactly 6 days before I became 25, I took over as a personal manager of Chola Sheraton in Chennai. That's how I came to Chennai in the first place. I wanted to become a GM at the age of 30. Right enough. At the age of 30, I became the general manager of Enfield India. But something happened to me. The word ambition got dropped in my life. Thanks to my wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guru, Dr. Pulin Garg, my teacher, my elder brother from IIM Ahmedabad, Dr. Pulin Garg, who opened my eyes to the world of organizational behavior, about the whole journey of life to begin with, way back in 1978, when I did my first phase in process work, behavioral process work. I discovered the possibility of this simultaneity, Shanta, that you're asking. That you have to carry your identities, but you can also recognize that you are beyond identities. And if that, so for me, from Enfield, India, being a general manager to become a consultant at the age of 32, and 2 years later, when the first opportunity came, Mani and Maniratnam and myself, we had worked on various stories and scripts, even long before he had started his first movie. And I'm talking about 79, 80. I used to write Sirugadai, Kurnaval, and Mani used to work as a financial consultant at that point of time. We worked on various kind of stories. So we used to have what we call as the script titles at that point of time. I think we used to go around narrating stories to producers, directors, Bharati Raja, Angalikela, Appoe Kada Sollirkom. All those things happened. Then I became Enfield India GM, I became busy. He made his first film. Then we kind of didn't meet for some time. 1985, I became an independent consultant. And I was I was doing reasonably well to begin with. He came home, 85, December, I remember. I was in Besant Nagar. And he said, hey, Kitty, I'm on the script regular, Divya script. I'm planning to make it into a movie. Why don't you work with me? Now you're on your own. I said, sure. But unfortunately, I didn't work because it was the beginning of my consulting and training period. I was not managing my time very efficiently. I felt very bad that I didn't work with him because he went on and made that film and that became a very big hit, Mauna Ragam. Divya was the title when we were doing the script, initial script. Divya is the name of the heroine of that film. And if you really closely look at that film, the hero of the film is a personal manager with union problems and all that. Okay? And he is from the north. He works in Delhi. It's a very interesting story. And the story original thoughts were in 79, 80. Okay? Then I said, oh my God, I should have worked because it was very close to us. Even to my heart, it was a very close subject. Then 86 N, again he came home. He said, you ditched me last time. I said, I'm sorry, kya karega? He said, but this time I'm making a film which is about Bombay, story, characters, language, culture, behavior. Every damn thing is about Bombay. And I know nothing about Bombay. You know everything about Bombay. Bugger, don't let me down this time. I said, sure, money. We worked together. That's how I worked as the associate director of Nayagan in 1987. Here is the ex-general manager of Enfield India, a newfound consultant, leadership coach and trainer. But my day one work onwards, running around, picking stuff. I was working very closely with Tota Tarani's team of youngsters, putting up the sets, art department work together. Okay, because I like writing, drafting kind of dialogues. Balakumaran was the original writer, but we redrafted many scenes and sequences. Writing drafts. At the age of 13, I had already written, directed, and staged plays. For the next 6 years, till the age of 20, I had already written 6 plays, directed, staged all of them in Bombay. So I love writing. So writing of dialogues and scripts. I was doing all kinds of things. I must have been the only assistant/associate director in the film industry to arrive at the work spot on day one in his own chauffeur-driven car and then start running around like a boy. Why I'm saying that? Are you a victim of structure and systems? Are you a victim of identity? Your choice. I would say if you ask me at the end of 37 years, what is not 37 years, 87 or 35, 36 years of the film industry exposure to me with more than 80 films acted, 2 films directed, and a couple of films scripted. What is my greatest experience? Experience of working as the associate director of Nayagan. Why I'm saying that is, Shanta, it is very much possible to experience the simultaneity of being in a role, being in a structured system, and feeling the liberation and the liberty and the freedom completely. It's up to us. It's up to every one of us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with your wonderful speech. As a token of our love and appreciation, we would like to present you with a small memento.